Blake, can you hear me? Mike, can you hear me? This is Tyson. I have a buck, a big buck, that is up where we saw him last night. Yes, it is Mike. I can hear you.
Welcome to my 2016 Vernon rifle deer hunt. I started scouting early. Since the unit was all new to me, I went out a few times during June just to learn the names, areas, and access. In fact, I didn't see a deer on the unit until my 5th or 6th time out there. My friend Mike had the muzzleloader tag, and some of our early summer scouting looked to be paying off when we started to turn up a few good bucks in different areas. This is a buck we saw early on, but we stopped seeing him a lot before we could give him a name. He had a wide frame with good forks all around. He was definitely one to get us excited. Here's a buck I named Big Skinny for obvious reasons. Other bucks we saw probably would have scored better, but there was something about this buck that got my blood pumping. For a long time, he was number one on my hit list. He was tall and handsome and had a little cheater on each G2. We'll fast forward now to opening morning of Mike's muzzleloader hunt. He decided to go to an area where we'd seen a few nice bucks and also had a chance of seeing Big Skinny. Listen in as you can hear me trying to get Mike's attention after I spotted a good buck early in the morning.
Blake, can you hear me? Mike, can you hear me? This is Tyson. I have a buck, a big buck, that is up where we saw him last night. Yes, it is Mike. I can hear you.
That buck gave us the slip. We did, however, see Big Skinny on opening morning, but weren't able to close the deal. We returned to the same area the next morning, only to find smaller bucks. Now in a different area on the third day, we spotted a new buck that immediately caught our attention. As I tried to describe him to Mike on the radio, I could feel myself getting buck fever, and my hunt hadn't even started yet. The buck was in a very difficult spot, and Mike's stalk ultimately came to an end before he could get in range. I later named this buck Doug, and he would occupy my thoughts until my hunt started. He was wide and heavy with good tines. The selling point was his 5-inch drop tine coming off his main beam on the right side. After everyone headed home for the weekend, Mike returned the second week with his son and another friend and harvested this good buck. At this point, it was on. Only in a few long days, it would be my turn. My nephew Braden and I would go out a few more times in an attempt to locate Doug before my rifle hunt opened. We weren't able to locate him again, but managed to see a bunch of these smaller bucks. Day 1 of my hunt finally rolled around. At this point, Doug was my number 1 and Big Skinny was my number 2. Being that they are in different areas, I wanted to spend the first weekend of my hunt trying to find Doug. On opening morning, me and Braden found ourselves watching the same ridge I first saw Doug on while my brother Scott and nephew Jeb went to keep an eye on Big Skinny. As Braden and I watched the deer roll in, Doug never came. Just at about the time I was thinking about calling it a morning, a new buck showed up pushing does. You can hear me here getting a bit excited over his big backs and tallish frame. We'd call him Butch.
That's a shooter, dude. He's running those bills. Look at him. Dude, get video. I am. Dude, that's a shooter.
Instead of trying to cut him off for a shot, I decided to be patient with him, hoping to get a good shot later that day. After waiting him out, he disappeared. He didn't come out where we thought he was going to. We put out some trail cameras over the weekend over what we thought was good water, but neither of my bucks came in. I wanted to give this area one more day to try to turn up either Butch, the buck with big backs, or Doug, the buck with the big cheater. We came back for Doug or Butch one more morning, only again to see a bunch of smaller bucks. My plan for that evening was to hunt the buck we called Big Skinny. As the evening came near, Big Skinny's area was super socked in, and I chose to try a new area and planned for going there in the morning. That Monday evening, on our way in, we bumped a buck just off the road. As he ran away, he looked big, with at least one cheater off his left side. It looked like a tripod. After a very quick sequence of events, my emotions got the best of me, and I shot this buck without really knowing even how many points he had on each side. As I walked up on him, I was filled with mixed emotions. What I thought was a tripod was just a uniquely positioned G3 with smaller forks. My hunt was over. I had harvested a buck that wasn't as big as I had hoped, but I couldn't help but be grateful for the experiences I'd had on Vernon in 2016.